Soccer fans, welcome into Rio Tinto Stadium for this Western Conference matchup between the Swope Park Rangers and the Real Monarchs. I'm Landon Southwick, joined alongside a trio today in the booth, Carla Haslam, Taryn Meyer, and what should be a fun, crazy, all-over-the-place game. Both teams have a lot of firepower, and both teams are sitting atop the Western Conference. Carla, we've got a lot to see for both teams, and the Monarchs have a few guys down from RSL tonight.
Yeah, one of the players that we were chatting about earlier in the game is Ricardo Velasco, playing excellent. We'll talk about him a little more. Now we'll head to the national anthem.
By the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Antonio. The beautiful national anthem sung by Mr. Antonio Dudley out there. Carla, we were talking a little bit about familiar faces, and there's a face that a lot of Monarchs fans might recognize out on the pitch tonight in Ricardo Velasco.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about people who are going to bring experience to the game. Ricardo Velasco, not only a dangerous player, but he knows how to get the ball and turn on players. A very dangerous skill set that is often rare, is an often rare skill set that you see here in the USL.
Taryn, there's other guys on this Monarchs roster that are really capable of finding the back of the net and causing problems for Swope Park Rangers.
If you look at Chandler Hoffman, he's the leading scorer. That guy is just on fire right now. He scored in nearly every game the Monarchs have played this year. Look for him to really get in behind the back line of Swope Park. He's a true number 9, and he's got that excellent finishing touch off his first, second, maybe even his third touch. So keep an eye on him tonight.
Both teams have players down from the first team. And ironically enough, both teams playing each other tonight. We've got the USL sides playing here at Rio Tinto Stadium, and in Kansas City, we've got the first teams. So a little bit of back and forth. On Swope Park Rangers side, there's a few guys that a lot of fans might recognize and some familiar faces for people.
Very familiar faces, and they're a young side. Like you said, their average age is 22, but they have guys with MLS experience. So starting for them in goal, David Graychek. On the left, Colton Storm. Eric Palmer-Brown's another one. We'll talk about him a bit later. Amir Didic partnered with him in the back. Tyler Pasher out wide right. Duke in the middle is also the captain. Lebo Maloto, James Musa, Carlton Belmar, Cameron Iwasa. And keep an eye again on Kevin Oliveira. He's coming off a 2-goal performance in Phoenix last week.
You know, Taryn, you brought up Duke in the midfield wearing the captain's band. I remember watching him last season, and Landon, I think you and I were on the call for this game, and we spent a majority of the game just talking about how skilled he was with the ball. Not only was he very skilled, but his IQ out there. He seemed to know exactly where his forwards were going to be. It was amazing to watch him play because he'd receive the ball and off of one turn know exactly where to distribute it.
And it goes to show he played in 34 games in 2016, played in all games for Swope Park Rangers, and this season he has a goal and assist. So watch out for him on the left side of the midfield, probably pulling some of those strings for Swope Park Rangers. Let's go to the lineup for the Monarchs tonight.
Out wide left, we have Max Lakowecki, familiar left back. James Moberg partnered with Aaron Mon in the center of the field. Aaron Mon really trying to get his fitness up from the first team. Look for him to have a solid outing tonight. Kyle Karinga out right. Nick Beasler in the middle. Jesus Leal with him. Sebastian Velasquez coming back from a hip injury. He's back in the side. Ricardo Velasco, Carlo, you mentioned. Andrew Brody out left. And like I said, Chandler Hoffman, number 9 up top. Number 49 playing in the number 9 slot up top.
Connor Sparrow in goal for the Monarchs, making an appearance, his first appearance of this season. On the opposite side, Gretchik making his second start of the season, coming off a 4-3 loss at Phoenix Rising last week in an exciting, crazy game where they found themselves down 4-0 in the 47th minute, only to come back and come close to tying that game.
And that says a lot about a team, even though they weren't able to get the outcome that they desired. That ability to fight, especially in the last 10 minutes of a game, really says a lot about this team and their mental stamina.
Ball's gonna roll across the line and will be a throw-in for the Monarchs just in front of the bench. Monarchs moving from north to south here at Rio Tinto Stadium. Monarchs wearing their cobalts. Swope Park Rangers in the orange with the white shorts. That one's going to be cut off there by Palmer Brown.
The Monarchs playing a lot of high-pressure offense. You usually don't see that in the first 10 minutes from the Monarchs, but you can see here they're trying to set the tone for the game, kind of get the team on their heels, push them back into their half in an effort to develop some sort of offensive rhythm.
Mond with the ball, a guy coming down from the first team, getting his rehab on with the Monarchs tonight. He's a guy to keep an eye on and trying to get his fitness and get ready and back to rock and roll for Real Salt Lake.
And Carla, you talked about pressure just a second ago, talking with Mark Briggs. In the pregame, he was kind of saying he's trying to get his team to the 90-minute pressure fitness level, and it's obviously very, very hard, but so far so good this season. In the games that they've played, judging by other teams' reactions, I mean, the Monarchs are a team that like to press at home, big field, altitude. Swope Park's going to try not to wear down too much.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the interesting thing when it comes to high pressure is high pressure doesn't mean you run after every ball. And it doesn't mean that every time someone has it, you're running at 1,000,000 miles an hour. But rather, it's that tactical awareness of when is the best time. Is the other team making a bad touch? Have they turned towards their own goal? And using that as a way to measure whether or not you're going to press high.
Nick Beasler overcooks that one just a touch. A familiar name for Swope Park Rangers fans. His older brother plays for the first team. Both teams trying to settle in here early on in the 3rd minute. Nice sunny day here at the Riot. Like we always say, it's always sunny at the Riot, but kind of cold today, 54 degrees, wind blowing out of the north. You're going to see some of that maybe affect the goal kicks here early on in the first half for Swope Park Rangers. Be a throw-in for the Monarchs just in front of the Rangers bench. Looking forward to Hoffman. Hoffman can't control that one. It'll be a throw-in for Swope Park. Just want to give the fans a shout-out for joining in to tonight's broadcast. If you have any questions, comments, or would like to join, feel free to tweet at us. Throughout the game, we'll try to keep on that millennial style.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Let us know how players are doing. Let us know who you think is going to get a goal in tonight's match. And if you're here, send us your pictures sitting in the stands supporting your Real Salt Lake Monarchs. You can find us at Landon Southwick, Taryn Myers, and then Carla Swenson Haslam. Let us know your thoughts.
Velasquez. And Leal is going to be taken out from behind. That's going to be a foul. So we'll get a second look at that one.
Let's see as Velasquez plays that ball in. Yeah, definitely a late challenge. Takes Leal's leg out there. Nothing he can really argue about there in the center of the park.
Foul by Duke, the captain. Bond will play it all the way back to Sparrow. Sparrow's growing a little bit of the locks down there.
I'm actually a little jealous of the hair, and I almost forgot to mention him on the lineup, so apologies to him.
Good thing he can't hear you right now, Taryn. So I think we're good.
You better not be able to hear me.
It's okay. He'll hear afterwards that you liked his hair.
Ricardo up the left side. He'll quickly throw it in, looking for Hoffman. Ricardo's going to try to play it in. It'll be out for a throw-in in the corner for the Monarchs.
And this is where the Monarchs are so dangerous. They push numbers forward. Look, 9 people within a 30-yard 30-yard range of goal with Moberg hanging back.
Monarchs lead the league this season, the USL, with 24 touches inside the opposing penalty area. So a team very capable of getting passes in the opposing defensive area right in front of the goalie. So that ball is going to be hit just a touch too long for Ricardo Velasco.
And I think that stat also says something about the type of composure that they can have in the box. Often teams, especially in the USL, once they enter the box or the attacking third, they're immediately looking up to shoot. But it takes a very disciplined team to be able to get the ball and realize, is my window there, or would it be more beneficial to stay composed and pass it off to another teammate within the box?
Ball's bouncing around. Karinga will head it forward. Leal gets the touch. Ball's going to be played around. Can Karinga recover? Owasa. Owasa plays the ball looking forward to Pasher. So we'll get a second look at this one.
Good recovery there from Karinga to square him up. Just gets in the way of the clearance, just a hair.
Musa back to Palmer Brown. Didic. Looked like a handball there. Ref's going to let it play on. Velasco moving forward. He's got space in front of him, and he's going to be taken out from behind by Musa. Be surprised not to see a yellow, as the yellow card is shown here in the 7th minute of play. Not something you want to see from your defensive mid.
Good on Velasco, though, to step in front of him. You see immediately Velasco takes that touch and then cuts inwards. Forces Swope Park to have to make a decision. You either let him go or you foul him, and as we can see here, he chose to take the foul.
Center referee Edvin Juricevic will make the call and show the yellow card in the 7th minute of play to Musa.
The referee putting a very early stamp on this game, letting the players know that he's a no-nonsense referee.
Ball's going to be played in, and Grechik will come out and collect. Pretty decent crowd on hand here at the Riot. Those of you watching on the stream, you're seeing the opposite side, the Real Salt Lake side.
Well,
where no fans are sitting, but here on the west side, there's a pretty good crowd on hand.
And if you're a fan of the franchise, today's a great day to be an RSL fan, right? Not only a game here by the Monarchs, but also Real Salt Lake playing one of their rivals, Kansas City. So it should be a day full of fun soccer. And again, shout out to the fans that are here. I know it's a little chilly, so it's awesome to see so many people wearing their Real Monarchs and RSL gear.
Shadows starting to creep onto the pitch. Maybe be a factor as the flag's going to come up. As Belmar's there showing his speed. He's got some wheels on him, and that's something that Karinga, Moberg, Mond, and Lakawecki are going to all have to pay attention to tonight.
Landon, you talked about the shadows. Look for the wide service for the goalkeepers. That's always a very tough ball coming out of the shadows into the sun for a goalkeeper to read and really come make a clean catch on or a clean judgment even.
Back to Sparrow. Sparrow's going to distribute. Looking forward to Lakawecki. It's like Lakawecki might have just misjudged that. A touch. Always a fun fact to mention, Lakawecki and Beasler were roommates in college, the University of Notre Dame.
I think that just shows how small the soccer community is. At some point, all of these players have played with each other or against each other, know who the other is, and it really makes for a fun atmosphere, especially in the USL, because it seems that every player, if they didn't play with each other in college, is now on the same team.
Or played against each other in college. There are several of these guys I played against in school, so it's always fun to see where people end up and continue their careers wherever that may be.
Whether on the pitch or in the broadcasting booth, correct?
There you go. There you go.
10th minute of play, still scoreless between these two teams. That will be cut off looking for Hoffman. Be a long touch there by Musa. Both teams really struggling to find composure and and consistency here in the first 10 minutes. Monarchs going forward. Brody's going to find it under this ball. Going to pick up his head, slips in the corner. Swope Park will recover.
Interestingly enough, I did a survey on Twitter prior to the game asking fans who they thought was going to score in tonight's match, and we had several people respond saying that they thought Brody was going to get a few looks on the goal.
Coringa looks like he just came in a little tough there. Extends his arm and sticks his foot in a little far. Gets called for the foul. Not a bad position to give up a foul. Palmer Brown, another one with MLS experience, and little team by the name of Juventus scouting him very hard the last several years. With him bringing the experience to the back line of the Swope Park Rangers side, can only benefit. Both sides, like we mentioned in the pregame, have guys down from the first team, and they're guys that are capable of contributing for both these teams. We've seen 4 on each side in that sense, and they're capable of making differences in this game.
Well, and I think the area of the game where you see that the most, where you see that experience, will come in the last 20 minutes. It'll come whether it be in the form of time management. It'll come when, legs are starting to get tired and you're starting to see hands on people's hips. It's when that experience starts to set in that really separates the great players from the good ones.
And I misspoke there. Only 2 for the Monarchs from Real Salt Lake tonight. Like we mentioned, both teams squaring off here at the USL side as well as the MLS side tonight. Second game in Kansas City, about 2 hours. 12th minute of play. Palmer Brown. He'll pick up his head. Ball's going to swing along the back line. Swope Parks looks pretty content here early on to slow the play down a little bit. Wait for good opportunities.
Yeah, you can see that they're starting to look wide. As I've been watching the game more, it's really interesting. These two teams play very similar styles, and that they like their outside backs to push high, get into the offensive threat, as we're seeing now.
Ball's out wide. Maloto. Duke. Yeah, looking forward to Velasco. It's going to be cut off. Monarchs are going to try to maintain possession.
You talk about wide play and getting your wing backs forward. This is a big field. It's a wide field, and if you're fit enough, go. You always see the first team in Real Salt Lake doing that with Chris Wingert and Tony Beltran, always getting up the line, serving balls into the box, and really making opposing sides drop into their defensive half. And I think that's what Mark Briggs is trying to do with his side. Get Coringa forward, get Lakawecki forward. Lakawecki can serve in a fantastic ball.
And he can run forever. Shout out to him and Andrew Brody. It seems like they can run up and down the pitch and never seem to tire.
You really have that on this right side as well with Coringa. Experience over in Sweden in his first season for the Monarchs. Beasler's gonna cut that one off. Velasco's gonna go 1v1. He's gonna get around his defender, and that's gonna be a card, no doubt.
Good athletic play, though. Velasco doing a great job of selling that cut. We'll see it here on the replay. You see him coming towards his player and cut, forced on the foul.
Did it with a very late tackle. Well done there to push the ball out from his right to his left to try and create space out wide. Didic knew he was dead in the water at that point. I think he knew that, taking the yellow card.
Well, would you argue, Taryn, that would be a tactical foul?
Yes.
If he's able to go down, get to the end line, get across, it could have been far more dangerous than this free kick here.
Absolutely. He's already out of position, so to slow him down is really your best option.
Velasco's going to stand over this free kick. Moberg, Hoffman, Beasler looking at the back post. Ball's going to be played in, cleared out, not all the way. Swope Park still trying to get it out of the area. Brody's going to settle. It's going to be clipped out by Duke, just in front of the bench of Swope Park. Nikola Popovic in his first season with Swope Park. Swope Park coming off a great season in 2015. Velasquez, excuse me, getting tongue-tied there. Going to win a corner for the Monarchs, their first one of the match.
Carlo, you spoke about Duke last year and his soccer IQ. Soccer IQ goes both ways on both sides of the ball. You talked about him being able to create chances and pull strings in the middle of the field. Well, first 16 minutes and some change here, he's also doing his due diligence on the defensive side of the ball, which is also very important. And if he's going to sit right in front of the center backs, it's very, very important.
Ball doesn't beat the first defender. Brody's going to look to win that, and he's going to be taken out from behind by Kevin Oliveira. Good job by Brody to get his body in front of the ball and between the player, and that was the only option there to foul him. Probably could have let it play and run out across the line there. 17th minute of play, still scoreless. Mond to Moberg. Moberg looking forward to Hoffman. Hoffman's going to be off. Didn't look too far off, though. And a nice bending run as he ran along the back line and curved his run back in.
Yeah, Hoffman, you could tell there, was thinking that the pass was going to come a little bit wider. If you look at the angle of his run, I think he thought it was going towards the corner flag. And so that's just a little bit of miscommunication. Sometimes two players are on two different brain waves, and that's what can lead you to being offsides. But I think if the Monarchs can continue trying to press it wide on those long balls, Slope Park's leading a lot of open space towards those corner flags.
Mond there with a dangerous play. He's going to get up and look to recover. He'll win it there. Good job by Mond to recover. Monarchs going to ping it around a little bit. Lakawecki will look forward. Dedic will rise up. Possession pretty even so far. Swope Park leading in the possession category, 55-44. Or 45, excuse me. I can't do math. Can't get to 100%.
That makes two of us.
Mark Briggs in his first season for the Monarchs. Came on after the promotion. Ball's going to cross the line and will be a throw-in for the Monarchs. Like I was saying, in his first season for the Monarchs, came on after the promotion of head coach Mike Pecky and has done a great job. Only one loss to his resume so far for the Monarchs.
Yeah, and that can be really hard coming in the middle of the season. Granted, it is the beginning of the season, but that can be really hard being thrown into it. Brand new guys getting, used to a brand new system in that head coaching position. But from everything we've talked to him, he seems pretty calm and pretty confident about how it's going, and he trusts his players.
He has his team sitting 3-0-0 at home, second overall in the USL. I think he's enjoying himself.
Does a great job to get it out wide to Velasco. Velasco got an overlapping run. He'll pick up his head, looking to Lakawecki. Shot and a goal! Chandler Hoffman finds the back of the net in the 19th minute of play on a beautiful cross by Max Lakawecki.
Hoffman's a stud. Not only does he know how to get the ball and distribute it, but just great timing. He knew exactly where to be, right on top of the six. We were talking earlier that the most dangerous ball is a ball that gets to the end line and then is played back. That's the hardest for a keeper to be able to try to get their hands on, and that's exactly what happened here. Gretchik was kind of hung out to dry there, and Hoffman was just ready to get that left-footed tap in.
And well done there from Velasco to draw the defender. We talked about the overlapping runs. Lakawecki, he can put it forward. Hoffman putting himself in a very near perfect position right between the PK spot and the 6-yard box. Quite an easy finish, I'd say.
Monarchs lead 1-0 here in the 20th minute of play on a goal from Chandler Hoffman. His fourth goal in 6 games for the Monarchs as he's heating up.
Hey, I was going to say that's his first shot of the game. We haven't seen many shots on both sides, and so good for the Monarchs to get their opportunities.
Attack's going to be cut off there by Beasler. To Karinga. All the way back to Sparrow. Sparrow Going to take his time to get this one forward. Looking for Brody in the wind. It's going to carry a little far and over the head of Brody. You got to love the team playing the interchange there. Lakawecki was working his tail off to get up that left side, found himself in a good situation, and Velasco had the composure just to slot it through to him.
Definitely, and you make a 60-yard run like that, I say you deserve the goal. But you're right, Landon. I've been very impressed with just how players are able to interchange with each other throughout the run of play. You know, that ability to transition, whether you're on defense, whether you have the ball, is really crucial in creating space and creating runs. It's part of making the game unpredictable.
Brody trying to get on the end of that one, not going to be able to. Be a throw-in for Swope Park.
You can already feel the difference in energy. I mean, anytime there's any sort of goals, both teams, pick it up. Both teams have a certain new motivation and energy, and it seems like that energy right now is in the corner of the Monarchs.
Leal going to play it all the way back to the keeper.
Briggs has said this several times. They want to be able to make teams chase the game here at home, and they've even been successful with that on the road, and so that's really a fantastic start.
Yeah, just make the ball do the work, right? You conserve your energy, make them run.
Caught there in no man's land. Awasa moving forward. Fans, make sure you tune into the USL's weekly show on Sirius XM FC, channel 85 on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern for the latest news and information from around the league. Also, don't forget, Sirius XM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check uslsoccer.com for dates and times. Leal trying to win that. Battle on the touchline over there. Velasco's going to quickly take the throw-in and throw it down the line. Don't know if he thought he was bowling there or overhand bowling.
You know, sometimes you get that little spurt of energy and you just have to throw the ball away.
One nothing Monarchs here in the 23rd minute of play. Both teams gone really back and forth. The better opportunity so far for the Monarchs, and they capitalized on that opportunity and lead 1-0. Sebastian Velasquez is going to be given a little bit of a warning, a little bit of a conversation happening between Duke and Velasquez.
It was an unnecessary foul. You know, Duke wasn't dangerous in that position. His body language, everything, looked as if he was just going to be passing back. It's obviously in the center of the pitch, not as dangerous. It's not a foul that needs to happen.
Make sure he clears him out there. Definitely a necessary foul as he's going to see a yellow card. Unnecessary talk after the play. Maybe probably could have got away without seeing the yellow, but has shown the yellow here in the 24th minute of play for maybe some of the extracurricular stuff happening. Ball's on the right side. Held in by Storm. And Lakawecki's going to be forced to knock that one across the end line. It'll be the first corner of the game for Swope Park.
Not only will it be the first corner, Landon, but this will probably be the most dangerous opportunity that Swope Park has had so far. A free kick that's going to be coming into the box, especially when you have numbers coming up.
Cleared out by the Monarchs. Going to be another opportunity for Swope Parks. It's going to be clipped back post and going to be crossing the end line for a goal kick for Connor Sparrow.
Good collective defending there from the Monarchs. James Moberg wins the first header, not able to pick up the second ball, but really sticking to every man in the box. And unfortunately for Swope Park, the ball trickles over the end line, but good defending there from the Monarchs.
Wind is slightly picking up here at Rio Tinto, moving kind of out of the northwest, bringing that cold Alaskan air. Temperature still hovering in the mid-50s. Beasler going to cut that one off. Sebastian Velasquez moving forward. Great ball. Looking for Brody. Brody's going to get on the end of it. Whips it into the box. Looking for Hoffman. It's not going to go too far. So Velasquez is able to keep that one in. Man, I'm struggling to keep those two together as he'll be called offside there. He found himself in a forward position with eyes like watermelons.
He was ready to go. And I think that's actually what contributed to him being offsides is he wanted to get moving forward so quickly that he didn't time his run exactly with Brody's pass.
Grechek will take the restart, looking forward. Oliveira. Belmar. Ball's going to be swung out wide. Molito. Owasa. Owasa with a lot of blue around him. Good team defending there from the Monarchs. It's going to be played back to Sparrow. And Swope Park's really looking content not to apply too much pressure on Sparrow there.
Yeah, a lot of that I wonder too, Landon, if it has to do with just the shape that the Monarchs are playing in. You know, you can see that they're starting to play a little bit deeper than they were at the beginning of the game. And, you know, it makes it difficult for the other team to apply that sort of pressure because they know it's going to be much easier to get out of it.
Didick looking forward. It's going to be on for Belmar. Belmar's going to pick up his head, looking to take a shot, and will be cut off by the Monarchs. It's going to be a second attempt by Oliveira.
That was a great ball by Swope Park. Not too far ahead of his striker, but enough that he can run onto it. Wasn't able to get the shot off, as you're seeing here, but any sort of ball that puts you right on top of the box is dangerous.
Mentioned this early on in the pregame, but both teams really sitting in a very good position this season. Swope Park entering with a 3-1-0 record on the season. Monarchs with a 4-1-0 record as Brody's going to get inside the area. Space, looking forward to Velasco. It's going to take a deflection for another corner kick for the Monarchs.
Velasco, we talked about him at the beginning of the game. We talked about his awareness of being able to run onto the ball, and that's exactly what happened there. He had timed the ball perfectly, as we can see here. Brody's going to be sending it across, and Velasco's running in 100 miles an hour. Often it's easy to defend it when they're stationary, but moving Velasco's impossible to defend.
Excellent timed run there from Velasco to get himself to the top of the area. Just wasn't able to come off as there was good defending.
He'll take the corner kick. Looking back post, Karinga was there setting up to take that one off. The volley will be cut off by Swope Park.
I was ready for Karinga to just karate kick that one. I mean, you could see his body language. He was ready to full jump out at that one.
Lakaweki's looking for Ricardo. He's going to overhit that one. Ricardo realizes he's on the wrong side of the field. He's going to slowly shuffle to the left side. Throw in Swope Park. Brought down by Beasler. Beasler's been one of those guys that's been very consistent this season and done a good job of keeping the game in front of him.
Yeah, he's not a flashy player, but he's an accountable player. And he's one that you can count on to get the job done and to take up the space or to keep the space.
Ooh, not a bad idea there from Swope Park. Ball was out in front of both attacking players. Colton Storm, the 14th pick in the 2017 draft, looking for his teammates in the box. '30th minute of play, 1-0. Monarchs lead on a Hoffman goal in the 19th minute of play.
Monarchs have developed a really good rhythm here, but they still have to aim to get one more goal before the half. It's still anyone's game. It only takes, you know, one shot, one mistimed ball for Swope Park to be back in this game to tie it all up. And so it's important that the Monarchs, even though they're winning and playing well, don't sit back, that they don't get complacent and rather be looking to be shooting on Grechek as much as they can.
Leal is going to turn that one over. Duke's going to spray it out wide. To Storm. To Musa. Out wide to Pasher. Great battle there from Beasler.
Excellently timed challenge there from Musa to try and keep that ball in his attacking half.
Velasco is making that streaking run down the left side. Leal just hit it behind him.
He's fun to watch because you can tell he wants the ball so bad. You know, and not only does that change the energy for the team, having a teammate that's yelling at you, get it to me, get it to me, get it at my feet, but it also increases your chances of getting the ball, which is what you want from your scoring forwards.
It's going to be a foul called. Advantage was played. Sparrow's going to toss the ball aside.
A little bit of gamesmanship there. Give the ball to the ball boy and let your defenders get back and into position. And
quickly taken. Maybe not the best quickly taken free kick there. Looked like it would have been a better opportunity to play it and set up in a position like that, not too far outside the 18. But the decision was made. Moloto. Palmer Brown playing center back with Didic. Musa's dropping back, sitting in that defensive role for Swope Park. Sitting on the yellow from the 7th minute of play.
Musa's got to be careful the rest of the way, especially in that number 5 position. He's going to be forced to make challenges, maybe some timely challenges, and he's really got to time those right like he just did here a few minutes ago.
Ball's played out wide. Belmar is going to be called offside.
And a lot of that just comes from discipline from the Monarchs. You know, a lot of teams, when they see a talented forward running at them, are tempted to just drop back. But teams that are really disciplined and backlines that have played together know to hold your line, you know, until the shape is able to reorganize.
We've seen a little bit of that consistency for the Monarchs this season, but tonight you're seeing a little bit of a different back line as Velasco is going to get in. He's going to whip it across the area, looking for Hoffman. Can't beat Swope Park Rangers defense there. Be a throw in for the Monarchs. Mond. It's going to be dispossessed momentarily, but he'll win it back. Moberg.
Monda's like to get himself forward with Moberg really dropping in as almost a lone center back if Mon goes forward and tries to really start the attack in the first 34 minutes or so.
Velasco will pick up his head to Hoffman. Hoffman's on the touchline and will win a corner for the Monarchs, their 3rd of the match.
That far touchline has seemed to be the weak point for Swope Park. Already the Monarchs in the first half have gone to that end line 3 times. I mean, like we were saying earlier, that's a very dangerous, but also a very difficult part of the field to get to. And so the fact that the Monarchs have had so much success there is a weakness to be exploited. Fine Briggs, I'm saying get it to Velasco on that end line every single time.
He'll take the corner for the Monarchs. His left foot can't beat the first man. Awasa will clear. Monarchs going to get another opportunity. Velasco looking back post. Hoffman just can't get on the end of that one.
It's a good look. You know, look to get it up. Get to that end line, and everyone's expecting you to drop it back. We're going to be seeing it here in the replay. If you look at Swope Park's defense, they all expected it to be on the 6th. And so it was good. The Monarchs thinking, let's make it unpredictable, and let's play to Hoffman on the far post.
Pasher looking forward. No one making the run. At times that tends to happen there, but like we've talked about, there are some very capable attacking players for Swope Parks. Velasco gonna continue to run up that left channel. He's gonna be knocked down, and the foul will be called on Colton Storm.
And Velasco having a field day with Colton Storm the last few minutes here. really getting at him and creating opportunities. As you can tell, Colton Storm very frustrated with himself and how much he's defending.
Directly off the 18. Almost like a corner, but a little bit further out on the pitch. Ball's whipped in. It's going to fall in the area. Moberg shot and a goal! James Moberg with the rifle. He shoots and he scores.
What a great goal for Moberg. Again, it was similar to the last goal, on top of the 6, just in the right place at the right time. But the thing that made that goal so interesting is that Moberg, when the play started, was in a completely different position. And he was able to read, you know, the ball's been pinging around in the box and be able to read where it's going to go. And congrats to him for getting his goal today.
Truly a wonderful center back goal. If you're not going to use your head, you might as well just slam it into the top shelf. As you can see his excitement with that one, he'll take that goal any day. As the ball was whipped in here, it pops around in the box a little bit, not cleared, and he just puts his foot through that ball. Happy as you like.
Gotta love his celebration, running over to celebrate with the bench, or with the coaching staff. Guys warming up for the Monarchs in the corner on the north side. 2-0 here in this 37th minute of play.
You know, and that shows improvements for the Monarchs, too, because in this half, the Monarchs have had free kick opportunities, and none of them have been that dangerous. But here, you know, not only was Velasco able to send a dangerous ball into the box, but one that players could get onto, even if it's not the first time, but for the second ball.
All credit to Moberg hanging around for the second ball and taking his chance.
Not much Gretchik could do in a situation like that. Taryn, you could speak to that, but when you have traffic in front of you in a situation like that, it's really hard to see anything. And with a ball shot and rifled that fast, you're just trying to react. And he did a good job getting into the area, but wasn't able to get on the end of it.
Quite honestly, if someone's going to tuck the ball home, or for this matter, slam it home from that range, you're really just diving for show and hoping that something can happen. Not a whole lot he could do. It was really his defenders not clearing the ball properly as Moberg picks up that second ball and really makes Swope pay.
Oh, it's a good way to enter to the second half. You know, we say that the most dangerous score at halftime is 2-0, but it's a good way to start because it's going to help their Monarchs' confidence as they enter the second half, and it also puts Swope on their heels. They're going to have to start playing far more offensive and take people out of their defensive back.
Sparrow's going to boom it forward. Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com. That's NikeSoccer.com. You know, you can't count out Swope Park, though. They were down 4-0 last week in Phoenix to come back 4-3 to end the game. So they're a team capable of finding the back of the net, and Monarchs fans will realize some of that here. The Monarchs have had challenges closing out games. Velasco going to pick up his head and take it from distance. Not too much behind it, but the Monarchs' last home game was a 5-3 thriller where they went up 4-0, only to have Reno come back on them.
No, it's definitely possible. I mean, that's why you play the game. And second half, teams play differently in the second half than they do in the first. You know, and the goal of a team is to get better, to progress in both halves. But no, you're completely right. Swope Park could make a few changes and that could completely influence the outcome of the game.
Beasler looking forward to Hoffman. Hoffman just seems like a guy that's playing with a lot of swagger right now. He's a guy that has a lot of confidence and is a goal scorer, and a proven goal scorer. Ball's going to be played in, and it's going to be offside on Belmar. Carlton Belmar going to be flagged for the offside. But I was mentioning Hoffman is a guy that's proven that, was on the bench with LA Galaxy, won a championship with the Galaxy, and is now here in the USL and performing very well.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of that success comes from the fact that he was able to come in and start immediately. Often when you're starting with a new team and you're just coming in, you know, whether it be confidence or whether it be you're just getting adjusted or the speed of play can often be difficult. But Hoffman came right in as if he's been part of the Monarchs for years.
And the Monarchs really needed a guy of his leadership. They were lacking that age, lacking that experience. In the first 2 seasons under Freddie Juarez was a team that really had a lot of young guys that were performing very well and won quite a few games, but really never had the experience to close out games or had some of the ability to do those things. Little getting touchy down there.
This game's been physical all afternoon. Swope not happy at all with the referee's decision to pull the play back there, as they were in on goal for really a very good chance. As we see it again here, ball gets played in, lets it run,
right
gets played
here,
out wide.
That's where it happens, where he hits Moberg on the leg. You got to be careful in a situation like that, especially in games that have video. Maybe at the youth level you can get away with stuff like that, but at this point...
Well, and especially when there's so much time left. You know, you still have another half. You would hate, you know, to get your second yellow card, or you would hate to run the risk of getting red because you get in a fight. You know, there's so much time in the game, and you need players if you want to score.
You got to be careful. Disciplinary committees often come back and card people for situations like that.
Well, and, you know, it's naive to think that the ref doesn't remember that, doesn't remember that a player likes to pick fights and, you know, likes to fall onto the ball.
Owasa picks up his head. Nice shot there from Owasa. Right-footed, looking for the far post. Sparrow's going to lay down to his right side and collect.
Good save there from him to get his first real save of the game. So he just collapses nice and easy down to his right. First big chance, if you can say big chance from Swope. First real shot on goal for them here in the first 45.
Owasa, guy that played very well at the USL level with Sacramento. 47 appearances, 13 goals. Oliveira. It's a little heated down there. Moberg keeps his composure, or excuse me, Beasler. We'll get a second look at it from a different angle.
That was a good call. A pedestrian foul, but a good call nonetheless.
Velasco cuts in, looking for Leal. You're seeing that, and Taryn, you mentioned that earlier on in the game. He is eating up that left side and doing a very good job of taking on players. Very confident. He's going to pick up his head. No one with him. He'll take a shot just wide of that left post.
I was about to say, he must have heard you because he picked that right up. If we look at this again, he just receives the ball, just kind of pulls it a little bit. Goalkeeper not quite sure if that was on frame or not, but I think he had it covered.
I was thinking the same thing. Grechik looked like he was in the right position there to make sure that didn't find the back of the net. Musa battling with Leal. Lakawecki will step up. Palmer Brown will leave.
Good on the Monarchs defense just to clear that out. Sometimes when you have balls bouncing around and players are pushing each, shoving each other, and they've already been, you know, arguing with each other at first, sometimes it's just better just to get it out. You can have everybody come back and reset in their shape before recycling the next play.
44th minute of play. Probably not going to be too much stoppage. Game's been pretty consistent in the flow. 2 goals, though. Monarchs lead 2-0 as we enter the 45th minute of play. Belmar looking forward, looking for the run of Pasher. Pasher really slowed down there, and Karinga was able to get back and clear. Good defending there by Brody. Duke, or excuse me, Storm. Swope Park possessing well here. Ball's going to be played up over top, and that one's going to be flagged offside. But a nice little finish there by Belmar.
When you can see Belmar is ready. I mean, every time that Swope Park enters the attacking third. He's on the box, on his toes. If you see here, looking in the replay, little chip, and he just runs right past his defender. Timing is off, so he's called offsides, but he is ready for anything. He's going to be dangerous in the second half.
Something we didn't mention, teams are going to flip sides in the second half, and the wind could be a factor for the Monarchs. So keep an eye on that as 1 minute of stoppage time has been announced. Beasler with the awesome defending. It's going to be a late challenge there by Oliveira. He's going to make his way into the back or into the book of the center referee.
Seems like he got clipped in his ankle. You can see him kind of rolling around in the grass, trying to put some weight on it.
Never feels good.
Can't be much left on the center referee's watch. Moberg's gonna nicely place the ball, kill a little bit more time. He's gonna look for wide to Velasco.
What a great ball, and what great vision to see him there.
It's gonna get out wide to him. He'll cut in. He's still dancing outside the area, trying to take on Storm. Cut towards the touchline, looking for Sebastian Velasquez. And that is all she wrote here in this first half. 45 minutes of soccer have been played here at the Riot. Monarchs lead 2-0 on goals from Hoffman and Moberg. And really, guys, this has been exciting for the Monarchs. They really have been pressing hard and are walking away with a well-deserved 45-minute 2-goal lead.
Yeah, and I think the victory for the Monarchs in this half has been from their defense. No doubt that the goals were awesome, that they were well-timed goals and the tactics were there. But the Monarchs have done an excellent job in the back in recognizing that they don't have to win the ball. So they just simply have to keep Swope Park in front of them, make the play predictable, and that's exactly what's been happening. Swope Park hasn't really had too many opportunities on goals simply because the Monarchs are doing a great job of keeping them in front and containing them.
So both teams will make some slight adjustments at halftime. Monarchs sitting in a good situation, leading 2-0 here at half, and we'll take a short break and be back with you with second half action here soon.
Raise the stakes. Expectations are high. Our biggest season yet will break records with elite players and future stars. Innovative technology and new homes. We're growing the game in our communities and across the nation. Are you ready?
On April 12th, the USL set the soccer world on fire as Phoenix Rising FC announced the signing of Didier Drogba, adding to the growing lineup of world-class players and young rising talent in the league, including England international Sean Wright-Phillips and Joe Cole, former Mexican international Omar Bravo, and German international Marcel Schaefer. The announcement set off a whirlwind of activity for the former Ivory Coast international, known simply as the King. First, hundreds of Phoenix Rising FC faithful packed the Phoenix airport in hopes of catching a glimpse of the global star, giving their newest addition a world-class welcome. And he did not disappoint. Didier posed with the Rising FC scarf and took time to shake hands and snap selfies with his newest supporters. The drums were out in full force, filling the airport with chants and songs of La Furia Roja 1881 and Bandidos, the club's recognized supporter groups. Then, late Sunday night, Didier was formally introduced to a packed house during halftime of the Phoenix Rising FC and Swope Park Rangers match. Joined at midfield by dozens of local youth soccer players, all clamoring for his photo and shaking his hand, Didier was introduced by Club Governor Burke Bouquet and presented with his new number 11 Phoenix Rising jersey. Never short for words, the King grabbed a mic and addressed the crowd. After his comments, he embraced his youth players on the field, shook hands with fans in the stands, and even kissed a few babies. All in a week's work for one of the world's top soccer talents and personalities, and the newest member of Phoenix Rising FC and the USL. For USL Network, I'm Morgan Conklin.
We built the USL into the largest Division II professional soccer league in the world. And now the time has come to announce USL Division III, America's professional third division league, completing the U.S. pro soccer landscape. It's time for your town, your team, your game. D3 will fuel local pride and local passion, creating a new legacy for the beautiful game and inspiring its tribal following across the country. This is professional soccer, built on a disciplined financial model and operational excellence, featuring exciting venues to thrill fans in hungry new markets yearning for the game. USL Division III, professional, passionate, proven. Pro soccer starts here, coming in 2019. For more information, visit USLD3.com.
We're back here live at Rio Tinto Stadium where the Monarchs lead 2-0, and we're joined alongside assistant GM Dan Egner up here hanging out in the booth with us today. Dan, we've talked a little bit in the last few weeks with a few different people with the team, and we've realized there's been a lot of changes happening and a lot going on with the team. You guys had a busy summer.
We did. You know, it was a busy offseason. To be honest, we started this process just about a year ago. Watching a lot of USL games, identifying pieces that we might want to bring in last summer. And luckily last summer we were able to do that. We brought in Charlie Adams and Jesus Leal. Unfortunately, Charlie picked up a knock. That's why he's not there today. But, you know, you see Jesus in the starting lineup. And then from there, we tried to acquire a few other pieces in the league. Didn't work out in the summer. Luckily, we were able to get those guys in the winter. And, you know, Chandler Hoffman was one of those.
I was going to say one of the biggest additions and a guy that's made a difference all season long so far. I mean, early on in the season, but he has 4 goals in 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, if you look...
You couldn't ask for more.
You couldn't. And if you look, Chandler, coming in this year, the last 3 years, scored more goals in the USL than anybody. And he, to be honest, he's a guy we tried to get last July. And Louisville said, no, thank you. But we were persistent. Chandler knew that we wanted him. And it was a process that we wrapped up pretty quickly once we knew he wasn't returning to Louisville. And he was target A #1 on the list, and we were able to get him, and we're seeing the dividends of that right now.
So Dan, talk to us a little bit about how you guys identify talent. Obviously, you're watching a lot of USL. I don't think there's anybody that watches more USL than you, but tell us about how you identify some of those pieces. Sure. I mean, that was a definite need, a goal scorer, a consistent goal scorer.
It is, and you know, we sit down, myself, Elliot Fall, Andy Williams, Craig Weibel, we're all heavily involved. You know, we sit down with our coaching staffs every week and go over just pieces that we think we need, areas that we think we're lacking in or could just improve upon. And, you know, last year, like you mentioned, goal scorer was one of them. And so throughout the year, myself, Andy, Elliot, Weibel watches a lot of USL as well. We just watch games, write down, you know, keep track of guys that we're interested in. And then if the timing's right, we try to go after them. And like I said, this winter, we were able to get pretty much everyone who was #1 on our list in that specific position. We were able to go out and get. And you know, right now things are going well, so hopefully we don't need to do too much in this summer. But I'd be lying if I said we're not already keeping track of guys for next year.
Talk about your newest acquisition in Riggs Lennon, younger brother Brooks, obviously with the first team. Talk about him. You guys just added him this week.
Sure. So Riggs, you know, went through the academy. He actually trained quite a bit with the Monarchs last season. You know, in college, he played more of as an attacking role. With the Monarchs, he's going to transition a little bit more to the back line, maybe slide in at left back, give Max Blackowicki a little bit of cover. If you look at the first team roster, we don't get any loan downs at the left back position, and Max is really it. So if something would ever happen to Max, knock on wood it doesn't, we would have no cover, and Riggs really comes in, He gives us that cover. He's great in training. His attitude's been great. He kind of lifts the level, which is exactly what you're looking for in a player like that.
Talk about what you guys are trying to do with the conduit and the continuity between the first team and you guys and how that's developing. Obviously, Aaron Mond out here playing Velasco. You guys had Jordan Allen last week, a number of guys. Talk about how that helps you guys and helps the young guys and your new additions.
You know, I honestly think it's great for everybody. It's great for our first team guys to come down, whether it's rehabbing a la Sonny and Jordan Allen and Aaron Mond last week, or a guy like Ricardo, who's been getting some minutes off the bench for the first team. He's probably going to go 90 today, which is great for a guy like him. And for different players, that really helps. And I think this year we're going to see more of a rotation. Once the first team gets a little healthier, you're going to see 3 to 4 guys from the first team every week, but it's not going to be the same every week.
Yeah.
You know, so one week you might have Jose Hernandez and Omar Holness. The next week you're going to get Ricardo Velasco and maybe someone else. And I think that healthy rotation gives the guys the minutes they need, but it also gives the guys, you know, a different variety. And obviously they come down, it raises the level in training, raises the level in games, they bring that experience. And at the end of the day, all those Monarchs players are aspiring to be that guy. So it pushes them as well. So it's really a win-win for everybody.
Now, let's flip that question about your guys possibly getting first team minutes. What do you guys see with that?
You know, I think we have some exciting opportunities this year. Last year, unfortunately, with the Open Cup and with the rules, you're allowed to loan USL players up to the Open Cup. And we didn't do that last year. It just didn't work out for us. But I know this year it's something that it's actively on our radar. And the first team staff watches a lot of Monarchs games. They know all these guys. They're at trainings. These guys are in their trainings. So hopefully, you know, if everyone's healthy, we'll see some of the guys who've been performing well with the Monarchs get some Open Cup matches. Maybe playing that Manchester United game like we saw last year with Inter Milan. You know, Ricardo played in that.
Played well. Brody did as well.
And as did Andrew Brody. So I think we'll have a couple opportunities this year for those Monarchs guys to really step up and shine. And it's up to them to take that opportunity once they get it. But hopefully we'll see that.
You know, Dan, talking a little bit about the changes that we've seen and players coming down on loan, that's difficult for a coaching staff. But there's a few things going differently this year than there was last year. Petke obviously was with the Monarchs at the start of the season. He understands that from another side that most coaches don't. Freddie is also up with the first team, and he understands that because he had to deal with that. So I think a lot of that can bode very well for Mark Briggs in trying to coordinate and organize his roster. And he's kept a pretty consistent starting 11 with a few additional pieces throughout this season so far.
Definitely. And, you know, I think you hit the nail on the head. You know, Mike spent obviously the entire preseason with the Monarchs and with Mark through the first regular season game. So he understands the makeup of this roster. He understands, you know, how to balance loan downs with your USL roster. And, you know, those guys, the entire first team staff and the second team staff, I mean, they're talking every day, which is huge. You know, the communication has been great, and I think we're seeing the dividends of that on the field this year. I mean, the loan downs, when they've come down, have performed very well. Jose Hernandez played 2 games, has 2 goals. Sonny and Jordan Allen were very effective last week. Omar Holness came on in his loan game with a goal, and I would say that Aaron and Ricardo have shown very well themselves today. And, you know, I think it's something we'll see throughout the year, and we'll see a lot more guys, a bigger variety of guys this year coming down than we've seen in years past, which is a positive. Talk
about the acquisition of Taylor Pay, MLS Cup winner.
Yeah, so Taylor Pay, you know, he's a Salt Lake City boy, you know, University of Washington graduate. Was with the Timbers for a few years. Obviously, he was coached by Craig Weibel at University of Washington, so he was very familiar with him. He was a guy that was a little hard done by at the start of this year. He needed a place to play, and any time that you can add a guy with MLS experience, I mean, he's played a handful of games at center back and right back for the Timbers and MLS, and we had the opportunity to bring him in for the Monarchs, and you know, that just pushes the level. You know, he's a guy who can slide in at center back and at right back. And when the situation was brought up to us, to be honest, it was kind of a no-brainer for both sides. So you know, we're excited. He's pushing the guys in training, and I'm sure we'll see him get some minutes sometime soon for the Monarchs.
Sitting on the bench in the 18 tonight, so possibly today. Obviously, in a defensive role, we hope to not have to change those guys out as much. You know, Dan, Maybe let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that will come this summer.
Sure.
That's going to take a little bit of a shift as we bring the academy up north here to Salt Lake, to Harriman specifically, and the complex there. That's going to give you guys an opportunity to even look at some of that younger talent, bringing them in with the Monarchs. Maybe tell us a little bit about how that might change the dynamic.
Sure. I can tell you, first off, we are all, at least in the back room, extremely excited to have those guys up here. In the first 2 years, we've had a handful of academy guys who have flown up here, trained with the Monarchs, played in a handful of games. But it's tough. They're an entire state away, and with their school schedule, it's not always easy to pull those guys out of school for a week to get them up here. With the academy moving up here, we definitely plan to have those guys in with Monarchs training on a daily basis. It's not going to be the entire team, but it'll be a handful of guys who Martine and Mark communicate with each other with and about, and Martine will recommend them up, and they'll get in some games, and I'll be honest, it's something we can't wait for. It's the perfect test to see if those academy players are ready for the professional game. There's nothing like seeing them in a professional game to see if they're ready, and we're going to have that opportunity in spades in just a few months.
Monarchs assistant GM Dan Egner joined us here at halftime, and we'd like to thank him for joining us, giving us a little insight on to this team out here and what's been an exciting season so far. And we look for more, Dan.
No, thank you guys so much for having me. Knock on wood, let's hope this second half is just as good as the first. Thanks again.
Always welcome to join us. Thank you. Second half action starting here shortly. Both teams getting ready to rock and roll. Carla, we'll try to identify some changes here at the half, excuse me. It's like trying to see if there are any changes. Haven't been notified of any. Sebastian will play it back. Looking forward to Hoffman. The wind slowed down lightly.
Yeah, and both teams coming on, trying to keep calm and composed. Neither team looking to go forward too quickly into the second half. But down 2-0, we can predict that Swope Park Rangers are going to be trying to push people up and try to get anything that they can. Looking over the first half stats, they only had one shot on frame, and it was a worm burner goal that Sparrow was able to pick up easily. So Swope Park going to make some big changes in that. I'm sure they're going to be pushing more people to play in that attacking position.
Ricardo going to apply some pressure. Ball's going to be played all the way back to Grechik. 2-0 Monarchs. Hoffman scored in the 19th minute, assisted by Lakowecki, and then Moberg in the 36th minute. Swope Park in the area. Good opportunity there. Belmar shot. It's going to be deflected. Taken all the way back to the keeper. Been a foul for the Monarchs.
It's going to be really important for the Monarchs in this second half to play really composed. They have the lead now, so you're going to play differently than you did when you began the first half. Part of that is going to be time management, and another aspect of that is going to have to keep possession of the ball, keep the ball. Don't take any unnecessary risks unless you're in the other team's third. And finally, keep that the possession percentage up and make the other team chase, as we had spoken earlier in the first half.
Swope Park with a throw-in on the far side. Sun getting to that halfway point. Beautiful snow-capped mountains and a beautiful backdrop for the soccer game tonight. Like we mentioned, a little cold.
Well, when Swope Park came here, there was not a single flurry of snow. And then, as typical to Utah weather, we got a huge snowstorm, rain. And it's interesting to think that since they've gotten here, the weather has made a complete 180 change.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready for the snow to be gone. Snow had its time. It's time to move on. It's soccer time.
We did have a snowball here. Ball's going to slip through. Belmar's in. Shot and a goal. Scored by Carlton Belmar in the 47th minute of play, and he's going to slam Karinga into the back of the net.
Not the way.
He's going to see yellow.
It's kind of a bittersweet. You score a goal, and you end with a yellow card. Belmar doing an excellent job of reading the play. We said in the first half, he is ready to go. He has been on his feet, and that's exactly what happens here. The Monarchs mistime a ball. Belmar is able to take it and just tap it, precision into the far post.
A little bit of luck on that one as well.
Clinical there from Belmar, and not the way you really want to start the second half here for the Monarchs. Starting on their heels early. Now they're going to have to go and look to regain their 2-goal lead.
Not much Sparrow can do in that situation. 1v1. He tries to take up as much space as he can, but at that point, you're really at the mercy of the soccer gods.
Sparrow plays it forward. Monarchs midfield looking a little bit out of sorts here. Ball's going to be played back to Palmer Brown. Over to Didic. Out wide to Storm.
And you're saying Landon in the first half, this is a team that knows how to come back. And as you can see, they started the first half with a lot of energy and were able to find Belmar the ball.
Carlo Velasco going to dance around. Storm. It's going to be stood up there by Maloto.
Velasco picking up right where he left off from the first half, going straight at Colton Storm. Putting him on his backside before losing out to Didic.
I think Colton Storm's probably going to see the number 22 in his dreams for the next couple of weeks.
Brody going to push up that right side. Slow things up, plays it back to Karinga. Wide to Lakowecki. Looking forward to Velasco. We'll play it back, and that ball's going to be swung along the back line. Hoffman. The goal scorer. 51st minute of play. We're 2-1 in to this one. Monarchs lead. Like we mentioned earlier on in the game, both teams sitting near the top of the table in the Western Conference. Second place for the Monarchs, third place for Swope Park.
No, it's an important game for the Monarchs. Gets them on their heels.
Shot! Big save there by Gretchik.
Velasco not really able to generate any real power as he opens his hips, looking for that far post. Easy save in the end for Gretchik, even though he goes down just a hair early. As we watch it here again, he opens, shows where he's going to go the whole way, just can't generate much on it.
Looks like there was a substitution at halftime for Swope Park, the left back position. Get the name of that sub here shortly. Lakowecki picks up his head, looking for Ricardo. Ricardo in a foot race. Didic is going to get there first. And the keeper will play it forward. Bees that will headed out of play.
I saw that happening. I think the fans could too. As he started to move forward, everyone started to yell, "It's back there, it's back there."
Players always like to creep up and get as far forward on throw-ins as they possibly can. And
that's a part of the game, right?
This day and age, it's absolutely part of the game. You see everybody does it.
Parker Marr on for Swope Park. Belmar moving forward. Goal scorer for Swope Park. Ball's at the top of the area. Shot from distance, a worm burner. That one's going to go wide. Didn't scare Connor Sparrow, but a nice effort there and had some pace behind that one.
Yeah, and not a bad look. I mean, we were just talking about how Swope Park didn't really have many opportunities in the first half, and here it's only been 5 or 6 minutes, and already they've had 2 looks on goal, one which resulted in a goal.
When we talk about the wind being at Swope Park's back now, look for them, just as Musa cracked that shot right there, really to look for shots from outside the area to test Connor Sparrow.
Well, and I imagine one of the things that was spoken in the Swope Park locker room is you have to take more shots. Whereas in the first half, it seemed that Swope Park was waiting to get into the box before they'd shoot, and now you're seeing them take opportunities outside of the 18. Likewise, I think the Monarchs probably had similar goal as well. While they were successful in getting those 2 goals, and they were great goals, they need more opportunities. They only totaled 5 shots in the first half, 3 which were on frame, and for 45 minutes, you need your strikers to get more shots on the ball and more touches in front of the box.
Belmar's in, but he's going to be flagged offside. Looks like the referee or the AR on this left side mentioned that he was in an offside position, came to an onside position, and found himself off again.
It's been a common theme here. I imagine they'll go over that in film. So you have to hold your line, or at least time your run, or run at an angle, something to keep yourself on sides, because Belmar's quick. You know, if he gets the ball and he's onside, I have no doubt that he has the speed to go to goal, but it's that timing that's crucial.
Liao trying to defend. Oliveira out wide to Belmar.
Good defense by the Monarchs, forcing Swope Park to go backwards.
Duke. Back to Palmer Brown. Ball's played forward to Belmar. He has assistance, going to be cleared by Moberg. Good timing for Moberg to step back and clear that one out.
Excellently timed challenge there from Moberg. No nonsense, get the ball out, not messing around.
Swope Park attacking here in the last few minutes. 56 minute of play. Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com. NikeSoccer.com for more information. Palmer Brown looking forward. Swope Park attacking through that left side. Ball played forward, just too far.
Good defending there from Kyle Karinga, sitting in the middle of the ball and his defender.
And he's been pretty
attacker, excuse me.
Yeah, no, and he's been pretty solid at forcing Swope Park's forwards to push him out wide, away from the goal. I mean, in the run of play, it's difficult. You're worrying about where your defenders are and where the other team is. But Karinga just very, very solid, very consistent in pushing the other team against the sideline and making the sideline another defender.
Sparrow plays it long and high. They ping it around in the air. Liao will settle. Duke was on his back. Foul will be called. Swope Park trying to slow things down there.
I've been incredibly impressed with Jesus Leal today as he's been interchanging through the midfield with Nick Beasler and Sebastian Velasquez. You've seen him on the defensive side of the ball as well as getting himself into attacking spots. But quite honestly, his defensive work off the ball is what has caught my eye, really dragging attackers to his fellow defenders, the other Monarchs.
And you love playing on the same team as someone like that, because then you know you don't have to cover for his man.
Musa. Back to Palmer Brown. To Duke. He's going to spray it wide, looking for Storm. Storm was making a run into space there, but just too far for him. 58th minute of play, 2-1. Monarchs lead. USL soccer here. Later tonight, MLS soccer between these two sides. The first team.
You know, I have my Monarchs jersey on this morning, and then after today's game, I'll be quick to put on my Real Salt Lake.
Always a fun rivalry between RSL and Sporting Kansas City. Goes back really to the 2010, some would maybe say 2012 with some comments, and then obviously 2013, that MLS Cup, that bitter cold. I was at that game, just frostbitten game. I would do it all over again as they kick off at 6:30 at Children's Mercy Park in Kansas City. Will be a good one.
No, I don't think RSL fans are quick to forget what has happened in the past between these two teams.
You know, guys, we have to mention the positive play so far from Aaron Mond. He's done a great job so far today. Being back from injury, sometimes it's tough to get back on the field and go right into things, especially alongside a center back you're not used to playing with. And tonight he's done an excellent job alongside Moberg.
Yeah, no, part of that injury recovery is the mental recovery.
He battles there against Belmar, and Sparrow will come out to pick it up.
And how you know Mon's been back to is you've seen him go into tackles. That's usually the last thing to come when there's been some sort of injury. And, you know, rightly so. When you've been injured, the last thing you want to do is put your foot into some hard tackle. But you've seen that he's had no fear. He's been able to time it right, been able to get his shoulder and kind of swim around his players before a tackle. Mentally, he is ready to go.
Gallagher up at the line for the Monarchs. Looks like there will be a substitution made here after this play. Karinga into Sebastian. Leal looking forward to Hoffman. Hoffman to Velasquez. Velasco. Shot! Just wide!
Inches. It's a game of inches.
Keep getting those two mixed up. They both find themselves in positive places. That was Sebastian Velasquez. So
he just gets to the ball first, like a little bounce. Just can't quite poke it home.
It's good speed on his part, too, to be honest. I didn't think he was going to get to it simply because he was so many feet behind the Swope Park defense. But give him credit. Those little legs were running out there. He got in front of the ball, was able to get a shot with the outside of his foot. I really want him to score because I want to see the pouring the salt in the wound, you know, celebration that he's known for.
Aaron Mond's night's going to be done after 61 minutes of great soccer from him. And Gallagher will make an appearance tonight.
If you're head coach Mike Petke, you have to like what you saw from one of your center backs down here with the Monarchs, putting in a good 60-minute shift.
I imagine he's watching right now, and I imagine he's proud of how the boys are doing.
Leal's going to try to cut that one out. Duke moving forward, headed away. Beasler will play it forward. Hoffman's going to battle with Palmer Brown. Palmer Brown's going to play it all the way back to the keeper. Hoffman been working very hard tonight. Has a goal to show for it in the 19th minute of play. Palmer Brown. Back to Didic. Velasco quickly goes to ground. We'll get back up. Maloto back to the keeper.
The Monarchs doing a really good job of just keeping Swope in their side of the field. Swope is gonna switch it now, try to get anything forward, but the Monarchs just keep a pretty steady line, just force everything back into Swope Park's side of the field, make them make the decision.
Leal, good challenge there. Swope Park moving forward. Lakawecki will cut that one off.
I have to say, so far this year from the Monarchs is organization on both sides of the ball, getting forward with the right numbers in the correct spots. But defensively, you watch how they defend. They shift side to side and up and down together as a unit. Even the goalkeeper, you watch Connor Sparrow, Andrew Putna, Fernandez, whoever's in net, even moving forward as they creep into their attacking half, trying to pin their opponents into their own half. It's actually been quite impressive.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to think in this game, there haven't really been moments where the Monarchs seem that flustered as far as spacing and organization. I mean, the goal that Swope Park just came from a missed touch. But as far as, you know, as far as the Monarchs getting out of shape, you're right, Taryn. I don't think it's been an issue in this match so far.
Something that Coach Mike Petke instilled is the higher pressure that you're noticing. This team plays with a lot more pressure up top, forcing teams to be positive and active with ball movement.
Oh, and I love it. It's so much more fun to watch as a viewer, a team that plays high pressure. And I do think you get more goals out of it. I mean, you compare the amount of goals that they're getting in the last 3 games to, you know, their very first season. And granted, the first season is always going to be your hardest.
Absolutely.
But they're scoring far more goals and they're getting far more opportunities than they used to.
And you look at the way they're pressing in the formation that they're playing, whether you want to call it a 4-3-3, whether you want to call it a 4-2-3-1. It's very difficult to stay organized, and they've nailed it thus far.
Swope Park applying a lot of pressure here in the last few minutes, sitting in the Monarchs half. Monarchs look a little bit out of sorts here in the last few minutes. Substitution along the back line really hasn't changed a ton, but the midfield looking to try to figure things out. Velasquez out wide to Velasco. Looking forward to Hoffman. Hoffman defended by Didic. He'll pull back to Velasquez. Velasquez is going to get a little shimmy shake there.
Yeah.
A Colombian shake. Little Shakira moving the hips.
Colombian feet, right? A little bit of Shakira in there.
Lial's there bending down. I don't know if Lial's going to need some assistance. Looks like he will. Marshall. Stoddard going to head on to assist him. Looks like he's up. Take a look at it and see if you see anything. Oh, yep.
I was just about to say, I'm not quite sure. I saw a rough challenge for him to go in on, but I'm not sure that's a winning battle. He'll walk it off. He's okay. Never feels good.
It's one that time heals. Not much else.
And, you know, for his teammates, this is a good time, too, to be able to get a drink of water, to be able to talk to Briggs. You know, one of the things that makes soccer so unique from other sports is you don't get timeouts and you don't get those opportunities to talk with your coach, you know, with the exception of halftime. And so this is an opportunity to them to talk to the coach, you know, what about our formation? Where do you want me to be? And helps kind of regroup and reset the team.
I noticed teams that come out to play at a Rio Tinto Stadium, if there's ever a stop in play in situations like that, a lot of players typically go get water. Sparrow just luckily able to get that one away. Good pressure there from Belmar. But I was mentioning the altitude and sometimes the heat. Tonight it's not the heat, but it's the altitude that gets a lot of players. Karinga defending. Karinga, play on, advantage, play, shot just wide. Karinga might be put in the book. Nope, possibly. He's going to get warned.
Again, another shot, this time from Swope Park, that just inches from the goal. Sparrow ready for it, but again, that shot, you know, take the curve off that shot, and that goes upper 90.
Moloto. So we're going to see a sub coming up here shortly for the Monarchs, and a guy that many people might recognize. We'll let him get ready first.
You're just building to the suspense, right, Landon?
Trying. Shadows creeping on the field. Ricardo Velasco gets up. Ball's played out wide to him. He'll win it out wide to Lakowecki. Velasco quickly to Lakowecki. He's going to go down. Lakowecki's inside, just outside the area, and Duke's going to cut it off.
It was close. Get
counterattack
credit.
On for Swope Park. Karinga going to be battling up with Iwasa. Wasa's going to cut in, and Karinga, give him all the credit there for winning that battle.
Fantastic. recovery run just to stand him up, get himself between the ball and the goal, and well-timed challenge to knock that ball away.
Swope Park going to swing it along the back line to Storm. Storm up forward to Maloto. Defended by Beasler. Beasler looks like he won that battle, but he'll be a little scuffle there with Maloto. A conversation being had. Be a throw-in for Swope Park. Happy to report Jesus Leal up after taking a shot to the lower region. Duke out wide to Owasso. Defended by Moberg. It's going to take a deflection. Will be out for a throw-in on the far side as we're going to see a substitution for both teams here coming momentarily.
You know, Landon, you talked about the altitude and how that affects teams. We're approaching that point of the game where it's that altitude now that we're going to start to see come in, and most likely you're going to start to see more subs coming in for Swope Park simply because players are getting tired.
Clipped up over top. Maloto. He's going to get on the end of it. Looking for Belmar. Top of the area. Shot from distance, and that thing was whizzing with pace. Hernandez is going to enter the match here in the 70th minute of play. Felipe Hernandez, midfielder, an 18-year-old from Nashville, Tennessee, but a Colombian.
Another Colombian out on the pitch.
He's played in 3 games this season and started all 3. He's a U19 national player.
Well, I'm sure my Colombian family back home is happy to see him here. While they're cheering for the Monarchs, they're happy to see Colombia being represented in the USL.
Taylor Pay, the local.
You've been waiting to say that.
The suspense built. It finally got there. Jesus Leal is going to take a seat on the bench, and his night is done after 70 minutes of soccer. Taylor Pay is going to shift into that center back role alongside Moberg. His first touch will be kicking it out into the crowd. Gallagher's going to shift up into the midfield, playing in the role where Leal was. And we're going to see Pay sitting alongside Moberg.
While I have full confidence in Pay, he is filling big shoes. Leal had a very consistent half. First half and even into this second half, just very strong, very consistent, and very smart about when to clear the ball and when to pass it off to one of his teammates. Some fancy footwork by Velasquez. It's another thing that makes the Real Monarchs a little different from some of the other teams in the USL is you get a lot of flashy play out there, and it makes it fun for spectators and, you know, for all the little kids that are out there hoping to one day be Real Monarch players or for Real Salt Lake, gives them something to work on.
Chad Smith, I see you out there. I'll catch you on the G-ditch. Correction on the pronunciation there. Appreciate the help. Ball's played into Owasso. Belmar. Oliveira. Looking to cross it in. Karinga's going to battle with him. It's going to be kept in.
Oliveira's
momentarily
had a kind of a quiet game. At the beginning, in the pregame show, we had talked about look out for him. He's going to get the ball and he's going to get a lot of shots. But so far, he hasn't been able to find the ball too much. He's making the right runs, but his teammates have been looking to go more wide where he likes to sit on top of the moon.
Swope Park still applying pressure. Both teams have used 2 subs so far. Still another sub to be used, and a change this year for the USL. Last season, you could use 5 subs. This year, only 3, the international standard. Changes the flow a little bit, but makes it a little more consistent with leagues around the world.
Yeah, and I think it helps prepare a lot of these players. I mean, the goal of the USL is to help prepare these players to move on to the next level. And what better way to do that than to create the conditions by which they'll play at the MLS or at any other professional level?
You know, Carla, to speak to that, I really did not mind the 5 subs opportunity here for Philippe. Cleared out and Pay and Sparrow. Little bit of a miscommunication there. It's going to be a corner for Swope Parks. Their first of the second half.
As the ball just kind of creeps in, Taylor Pay doesn't quite know when to leave it. Connor Sparrow just a little bit slow off of his line. Good decision there from Taylor Pay to clear the ball. When in doubt, smack it out.
Reminds me back to the youth soccer days. I remember coach yelling that all the time.
Ball's going to be whipped in back post. Palmer Brown with the header. Collected by Sparrow. He looked to go quickly, but no one up for the Monarchs. An opportunity for him to clear his lines here. Push up the defense.
Now, had the potential to be very dangerous. Sparrow reading it well, but Swope Park doing a good job on that far post corner. Is really, really hard to defend because often defenders are backpedaling to try to get to the ball.
Ball's going to be played out of play. Knocked out of play. Karinga. Just at the midfield stripe.
I'm interested after the game to see how much Karinga's run. I feel like he's everywhere on top of the field. You know, they wear the heart rate monitors underneath their uniforms, and not only does it track the levels of heart rate, but it also tracks the distance in which they run. Him and Brody are the 2 players that I'd like to see how much distance they cover, even just within a 10-minute increment.
Even Lakawecki getting forward. Both outside backs getting forward, seeing how much they've ran today.
Sparrow going to come out and usher that across the end line. Belmar showing his speed there. Lakawecki elected to just hang back and let Sparrow come out. Hay was in the area.
Yeah, and sometimes that's the best idea. We're reaching the last 15 minutes of the match. You're winning by 1 goal. You know, the Monarchs at this point have to start asking themselves, what can we do to still play well and keep the ball, but also let the clock to run? And part of that is give Sparrow the ball, let him back up, let him kick it out of bounds.
Fan there had an opportunity to catch it. Fail of a catch.
That's okay.
He's not going to make any highlight reels with that one.
Probably isn't going to be the keeper of the Monarchs next jersey. That's all right. We're glad he's here.
Monarchs still lead 2-1. So we get late in the match here. Pay back to Sparrow. Sparrow needs to get rid of it quickly.
Last 15 minutes of the match, you're welcome to still tell us what you think. You have 15 minutes to predict. What do you think the score will be? Will it be any more goals? You can find us at Taryn Meyer, Carla Swenson-Haslam, and Landon Southwick on Twitter. Let us know what you think.
Credit to Swope Park for continuing to pressure in search of an equalizer. Usually you see teams both on the USL and the MLS side. Once it gets the 75th, 80th minute or so, teams are worn down here in the altitude. They don't seem all that worn down.
Well, and a credit to Swope Park, a lot of that is just the tactics. You know, are you going to run up and down the field, or are you going to play smart balls where, you know, you don't have to run as much, and you don't have to play defense. Defense is the exhausting part. So if you can keep the ball and keep possession, increasing your possession percentages, then you're going to be less likely to get tired.
And both these teams are teams that like to play on the floor. If there's a ball up over the top, maybe a ball across the field, yes, they will play it, but they like to just interchange and work their way up the field, and yes, that does help with getting tired, so to speak.
Storm going to tug on the jersey of Lakawecki. So we'll check out a replay of that one. Clearly tugs along the jersey. Like the Monarchs are going to use their third and final sub. Tonight, Daniel Haber. He's going to enter this match. Both teams going to take a chance to get water here. Sebastian Velasquez is down, getting stretched out. He's coming off a game where coming off an injury, a hip injury. Both teams getting instruction from coaching staffs.
Well, it's his last 10 minutes that are going to be crucial to the game. I imagine that the ref is going to add some stoppage time simply because there's been some dead time here. But it's here that you develop that rhythm. Sometimes when there's breaks, it either makes or breaks teams. The breaks break team, but you know, it'll be interesting to see if the Monarchs are able to take these long dead air breaks, these long subs, and use them to their advantage to recollect themselves, kind of reset their formation, or, you know, if it flusters them, it gets out of the rhythm and gets their head out of the game.
Sebastian Velasquez's night is done. After 78 minutes, Monarchs use their final sub. Haber will enter the match on this left side. Velasquez, Kez and Co. That's what I'm just going to call them at this point.
Both having excellent games.
Will shift to the center of the pitch.
And already you see a more conservative shape for the Monarchs. Briggs, you know, it seems like Hoffman is it appears to be like the one lone striker up there. And everyone's kind of be moving back, almost creates like a 4-5-1 shape in theory.
Not sure about that call. Belmar losing his pants there.
He even played the ball before pulling up his pants.
Priorities.
Duke over to Belmar. Belmar's going to run at Lakowecki. He looks to cut in. Going to play the ball across the face. Shot's going to be taken, and a deflection will be called in the third corner of the match for Swope Park.
This is dangerous. This late in the match, you don't want to give anything up simply because you won't have much time to get back. If I'm the Monarchs here, I'm just trying to clear everything out. If I'm Sparrow, I'm telling my defensive line, any ball that comes in, you just clear out as far as you can.
Monarchs sitting a little bit on the back foot here in the last few minutes. Corner kick's going to be taken by Kevin. Looking. Jersey's pulled. Brody plays it back to Moberg. Monarchs going to try to clear their line. Challenge late as Karinga's down.
Moberg.
Or excuse me, Moberg.
Moberg doing a good job of clearing the ball. Seems like he's holding his thigh or his hip flexor.
Mark Briggs just laying into the fourth official just a minute ago on a very late challenge on Moberg. Obviously in a bit of pain. We hope to see it again, unless it was an off-the-ball incident.
Looks like he's holding that.
It must have happened far after the play.
Right
simply
leg.
Because, you know, we cleared it forward, which was the smart thing to do.
As we look at it again.
Oh, he gets taken down below, but you wonder if he pulled his hip.
You know what? You can kind of, when you get a look at that, it looks awkward. Duke might know what he's doing in a situation like that, slowly backing up. He gets yellow carded for that. 82nd minute of play. He's still down.
To be quite fair, I'm not sure Duke knew much about it, as he tried to just really block the ball and just kind of fell through Moberg. Nonetheless, I guess it could go either way, but not sure he knew too much about it.
Starting lineup in for Real Salt Lake. Van Okel, Acosta, Wingert, Schuler, Phillips. In the midfield, Sonny, Mulholland, Rusnik, Lennon, and Mosisian and Plata. Up top for Real Salt Lake.
Danny Acosta getting another Another deserved start there. Someone Monarchs fans know very, very well, as he spent quite a bit of time with the Monarchs last year and really breaking on and being a bright young player for the first team this year.
Well, and he has a smart first touch. I mean, it's always fun to watch him with Real Salt Lake simply because his first touch always takes him into brand new space. I mean, fans think a lot of the times that, oh, it just happened to be into the right place. But, you know, a lot of that has to do with beforehand knowing where you're going to take your first touch, and Acosta does an excellent job of that. Or, excuse me, fans who've watched him know that he does it on purpose, but to the outsider, you know, sometimes it seems just fortunate. We at Real know better, right?
Yes, of course. Cheeky ball there from Sparrow as he sends that one long, looking for Haber, trying to sneak in.
And I think it goes back to the idea of make it predictable. I mean, throughout this game, Sparrow's been sending him wide, and he's been trying to find his midfielders on the line. You know, so why not every now and then just get it out of your box? Like I said, there's only only 7 or 8 minutes left in this match. Let's get it out of Sparrow's box.
Ball settled by Swope Park. Ooh, gonna be a clip and a yellow card probably coming there for Ricardo Velasco. He's gonna see yellow here in the 85th minute of play.
About the only thing he's really done wrong all night long.
Yeah.
Velasco's been fantastic up and down this left side and at times the right side as we look at it again here.
It's a little clip. You know, it's probably not a necessary foul.
He's still in his defensive half. Nicky Beasler standing right in front of him.
No, definitely. And the Monarchs have 8 people already backed up, ready to go, winning the numbers game in their own half. And another foul.
There with a nice challenge. Beasler getting pushed by Hernandez, getting a little chippy as we get late here in the 85th minute of play, 2-1. Both teams battling. Ball's going to be sprayed out wide. Brody's going to draw it back. Awasa to the touchline. Lakawecki will head it up. Oberg looks to be all right. Brody's going to chip it up and over. Hoffman, they're going to battle.
Hoffman gets sandwiched between 2 Slope Park players. You know, and this is the time of the game where you really have to stay composed. You know, it's so easy. You know, I've been in games where you get that energy and you get angry, but right now the Monarchs have to stay calm.
Foul on Colton Storm. Fans, make sure you tune into the USL's weekly show on Sirius XM-FC, channel 85 on Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest news and information from around the league. Also, don't forget, Sirius XM-FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Please check uslsoccer.com for dates and times. uslsoccer.com. Lakawecki will have the throw-in.
Lakawecki practicing a good time management. He's going to walk to the ball. He's going to try to get it to that corner flag or either to the end line.
Velasco going to be battling. And a foul will be called. It's going to be essentially a short corner here for the Monarchs. 87th minute of play. Ricardo Velasco still struggling with the names, and one's on the bench. Ricardo Velasco trying to get the crowd up on their feet. Monarchs lead 2-1.
Well, here's where the Monarchs can just seal the deal, get a third goal. That'll kind of be the final nail in the coffin.
No, I said it earlier, I guess. Goalkeeper doesn't really have the sun in his face now, but he does have the wind. This ball's going to curve away from him. Watch this right on top of the 6. Just right there, but nobody there.
Gallagher going to keep it in. Shot taken from distance. Excuse me, that was Karinga. This ball rose and he took a crack at it. Be a goal kick for Swope Park. Played high. Hoffman's going to settle. To Ricardo. Ricardo looking wide to Brody. Brody's going to get on the end of this. Ooh, great sliding challenge. Brody's in the area. Shot! Big save by Grechik.
Oh, Grechik doing a great job reading that. Brody looked like he might have been looking towards the near post. Grechik doing a good job. Grechik doing a good job of covering that near post, forcing Brody to go out wide. Brody excellent on the tackle here.
Very early tackle, but really came off, and he tries to get himself a goal, as most people may have expected.
It's going to be a foul called on Belmar as he's freaking out. Free kick, Monarchs.
One thing we didn't mention about the experience for both sides, both from MLS to USL, you look at Paulo Nagamura, the assistant coach for Swope Park, longtime Sporting Kansas City player, can only provide experience, can only provide a pipeline for this team, and really connecting that team with the Peter Vermees side and try and interchange players between the two sides, because he's been around. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and you know that probably helps his players and influences his players a lot too, because he's able to take situations and say, hey, I've been there, and this is what's going to be more successful. Or I know your playing style, and this is going to be what's most successful for the team, because he just knows the franchise. He knows the goals of Kansas City, of the A team, and then he also knows the goals for the USL team, as we see right here in Rio Tinto Stadium.
Owasso. Swope Park pushing, 89th minute. Surely there will be some stoppage here and a fair share. We'll get that momentarily. Monarchs still applying pressure. Hoffman been working up hard tonight for the Monarchs, as we're going to get 5 minutes of stoppage here announced.
Anything can happen in 5 minutes.
Beasler. Brody going to defend out wide. Monarchs are crying all hands on deck. Beasler to Hoffman. Hoffman's going to be dispossessed. He's going to keep battling. Gotta love it. Musa. Mar out wide trying to take on Karinga. Goes to the touchline. Nice little back heel there. Ball's just outside the area. Swope Park shot, and it takes a deflection, and the flag's gonna be called up, and that one's not gonna count. Fans kind of freaking out.
No, you can't blame them. Sometimes the players stop thinking that it's offsides, and the ref says play on, and you know, it's happened before here at Rio Tinto Stadium where the players think that the play is done, and so I think all of us had kind of stopped breathing for a little bit here in the booth.
5 minutes of stoppage here.
He's on his way to the corner flag to go celebrate.
Fans took a breath there. Ball's going to be headed forward. Ricardo Velasco pushing forward. Lakawecki's going to defend Belmar and knock it out of play for a throw-in. Storm looking forward. Plays it forward. Duke trying to get it to Belmar. Velasco's going to be leveled there with an elbow by Colton Storm. It's one of those situations where you could probably show a yellow card. You see the high elbow there.
No, it's just not necessary. You know, there's no chance that Velasco is going to get the ball there simply because he's 2 steps behind. So you're right, Landon. At that point, you know, I wouldn't have been surprised if the ref would have shown a yellow, just because it's a part of the game that's not necessary, especially when they're not going for the ball.
And quite honestly, a lot of it has to do for Colton Storm with frustration. Like I said, Velasco has just been in his back pocket all night long, and he wasn't putting up with it anymore as we trickle forward in stoppage time.
Yeah, and that's the job of a good striker. I mean, get in the other team's head, whether you have to say a little thing here and there or you just take them on 1v1 and beat them. You know, you want a striker that's able to irritate and bother defenses.
We're a couple minutes into the 5 minutes of stoppage time. 2-1 Monarchs lead here at Rio Tinto Stadium. Velasco with a nice skill check. He's on the touchline, trying to get to that corner flag. Musa's going to backheel it and roll it for another throw-in for the Monarchs.
You're going to begin to see this pattern, fans, as you're watching the game, that everything the Monarchs do is going to try to go to that corner flag in hopes of getting some sort of foul. Unable to get it at that point, you can see Velasco upset about it, but anything just to waste time.
Foot race there. Taylor Pay is going to be beat. Swope Park in the area. Looking, back post, shot, big save! Sparrow with the huge paw to save that one and keep it 2-1 here late in this match.
If there was anything you were going to ask from your goalkeeper, that was it right there. Sparrow, not a lot to do tonight. Guess what, 93rd minute, pull out the game, could be the game-saving save as he gets a big pot of that one. As we watch it here again, just an odd touch, and the best you can do is swat at it and get it out. Big, huge save there from Connor Sparrow.
Coming in clutch when they need him.
Maybe
I imagine that's
minute
dangerous
or so
for the Monarchs.
left. Hernandez will step out to take the corner kick. Monarchs defending late. Almost a solo header. But it looks like Ricardo Velasco was pushed in the back, and this will kill a few more minutes. Or a few more seconds, excuse me. Swope Park throwing all they have at the Monarchs here late. Still 2-1 after a big save from Connor Sparrow, using his right hand to just swat at it. Unofficially 4 minutes into stoppage. Brody gonna try to take it to the corner. He's got wheels. Gonna get out there and battle. Take a little time off the clock. Ball looking forward. Lakawecki's gonna head it forward. Haber really hasn't had a whole ton to do, but has continued the battle.
Swope Park in panic mode now. Every time they get the ball, it's just a long ball. Try to get anybody on top of it, on top of the box. Everything's across, everything's a long ball.
Belmar, we have to be getting close to this 5 minutes. Storm's gonna play it deep into the box. Headed just outside the area, and it's gonna be cleared, but not completely by the Monarchs. Ball's out wide for Swope Park, defended by Gallagher. Gallagher is gonna be beat. Ball's gonna come inside the area, and Karinga's gonna clear it up to the scoreboard, and that's all she wrote. 90 minutes of soccer have been played here at the Riots, and the Monarchs are gonna move to 5-1 on the season, move to 15 points, while Swope Park Rangers are gonna move to 3-2 on the season.
No, and this is a big game for the Monarchs. I mean, the Swope Park was up there neck and neck with them. You know, this is setting the tone not only for the rest of the season, but it shows that they're able to compete in big games against big teams who are in the top of the bracket with them.
Hoffman and Moberg were the goal scorers tonight. And Hoffman was a guy that worked his tail off, a guy that deserved to find the back of the net, and he has 4 goals in 6 games.
For me, the man of the match, it's kind of a joint effort here between Hoffman getting the goal, but I'm going to say Ricardo Velasco. He didn't get himself on the score sheet. I told you he didn't do much wrong tonight except get the yellow card, but he was up and down this left side. We talked about it. Colton Storm just having a heck of a day with him. I thought Velasco was great, provided chances. He was awesome tonight.
Other things that you could mention tonight, Aaron Mon playing a first half and 60th minutes of soccer in his rehab stage. So that's a positive coming forward. And Velasco, like you said, getting the minutes he needed and doing a lot for the Monarchs.
Yeah, and Mon coming in, I mean, we mentioned briefly that coming back from an injury really can be very, very difficult. But mentally, he was more than willing to fight for every ball. He was able to get up there and get some headers out of the box. So very good day for the Monarchs.
And, you know, both teams really battled back and forth, and this was a challenge for the Monarchs. Really, they had played a lot of teams that were lower in the table, and tonight they played a team that was on top, near the top of the table, and showed that they could walk away with a victory.
No, I have to talk about Connor Sparrow. Big save there at the end in stoppage time. I have to give my hats off to him. Big save to preserve the win.
From a goalie, yeah.
No, absolutely, I have to.
Yeah,
well done to Sparrow.
And that's the game right now. I mean, without that, we're tied. The Monarchs are tied 2-2, and it's a very different game. And it really changes the rhythm coming into the season. Whereas being able to beat a big team like this is going to help them as they move forward onto the season.
Monarchs on the road next week, and then back home the next 4 games, including this game, 3 of them will be at home. So they've got an opportunity to put some points on the board and continue their rise in the Western Conference, but they have some challenges ahead. And like we've talked about, the academy is going to be coming here shortly. And also got to mention the guys that are injured for Real Salt Lake will provide players coming down. So that some changes could possibly come here shortly in the next few weeks.
And now we look ahead to the Real Salt Lake Sporting Kansas City game. I'm about to run downstairs and catch that game. Big rivalry like we talked about.
We want to give a shout out to all of our wonderful crew here that made this broadcast possible. Those with us in the booth as well as in different rooms making this possible. Thank you, fans, for joining in. Taryn Meyer, Carla Haslam, making that mistake, and Landon Southwick, thanks for joining in. We hope to see you next time.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.